I'm Elise.
Insidious Chapter 2 is a supernatural horror film directed by James Wan and released in 2013. The film is a sequel to 2010's Insidious, the second entry into the Insidious trilogy and the fourth chronologically in the series. In today's video, we're going to delve into the synopsis of Insidious 2 and all the details you need to know surrounding the sequel in the popular horror film series. Stay tuned for all the inside details. The film begins when Lorraine Lambert invites Elise Rayner, a demonologist, to assist her son Josh, who is being pursued by the spirit of an elderly woman, in 1986. Elise's arm is inexplicably cut by an invisible force while attempting to tackle paranormal activities in the residence. She insists on suppressing Josh's astral projection powers and erasing his memory of them for his own protection. Josh's wife, Renai Lambert, is being questioned about Elise's death 25 years later. Josh's fingerprints will be recovered at the crime scene and he'll be charged with Elise's murder. Josh, Renai, and their three children, Dalton, Foster, and Callie, return to Lorraine's home, where they again continue to experience strange paranormal happenings. Elise's associates, Specs and Tucker, pay a visit to Elise's home and discover a DVD of the 1986 inquiry. They discover someone standing behind Josh in the video after studying it. Dalton informs his mother that he has been having nightmares about a white-dressed woman, as well as hearing Josh converse with an unknown stranger. Renai gets a call from the cops, who say the fingerprints don't match Josh's. Renai is attacked by a woman in a white dress, and Josh hears a voice telling him to destroy his family. Lorraine sees the tape, which has been improved to portray an adult Josh standing behind the little Josh. They make contact with Elise's former co-worker Carl, who tries to communicate with Elise's ghost. Lorraine used to work as a doctor in an abandoned hospital, and they're told to look for answers there. Lorraine tells the account of Parker Crane, a patient who was committed after attempting to castrate himself. When she saw Parker 25 years earlier, she questioned the nurse why he was out of bed, and the nurse told her that he had leapt to his death the day before. The gang visits the Crane family home and discovers a hidden room. They find a number of bodies inside, as well as a black wedding gown and newspaper articles proving Parker to be a serial killer known as the Bride in Black, who kidnapped and murdered young women while dressed as a lady. Renai realizes Josh is possessed when his body starts to degrade. Lorraine is adamant that they all flee from Josh. Carl, Specs, and Tucker approach with the intention of drugging him, but he manages to subdue them. Carl awakens in the further ghost realm, where he meets the actual Josh and Elise's spirits. Josh discovers that time in the further does not proceed in a chronological order, and he's able to speak with himself as a young boy to figure out the location of Parker's house in the further. Lorraine and Renai are ambushed by the possessed Josh in the real world. Renai and the kids take refuge in the basement, while Dalton goes to the further voluntarily to assist his father. Josh and the others discover Parker's residence in the further. Parker's mother, Michelle, the white-dressed woman, is shown abusing him and forcing him to act like a girl. Parker's victims had been murdered at the request of his mother's spirit. Elise saves Josh and appears to kill Michelle's ghost, preventing Josh from murdering his family in the real world. And Parker's ghost vanishes though. Carl and Josh manage to flee, and Dalton guides them back to the living world, allowing Josh to reclaim control of his body for the first time. The Lambert family is eventually reunited, with Carl suppressing Josh and Dalton's memories once more. Specs and Tucker come to the home of a family whose daughter, Allison, is in an unidentified coma. Elise's soul crosses between them unnoticed and goes to Allison's chamber. Elise crouches in front of Allison, smiles pleasantly, and starts chatting to her, attempting to coax her out of the beyond. Her smile fades as she hears something above them, looks up, sees the light fixtures swaying, and something else. Then, in the murky corner of the room behind Allison, we hear a creaking, hideous, guttural groan. The camera pans up. We don't see anything behind her yet, but Elise does, and her face is filled with dread as she gasps, shivers, stating, "Oh my god." As you can see, the film ended on a huge cliffhanger, which had many viewers eager to know what happened next. Luckily, the third film was released only 2 years later in 2015. The third film, just like the second, had a large budget, but exceeded it greatly, most likely because it matched the same performance and viewing experience of the first two films, which were undoubtedly a gigantic box office hit. On September 15, 2013, 2017, it was reported that a third entry in the Insidious franchise would be released, with Leigh Whannell returning as writer and Jason Blum and Oren Peli producing. When asked if he would return for a third installment, actor Patrick Wilson replied that he would. Josh Lambert has been through the ringer, and I think the movie sets things up well at the conclusion, she says, adding that she doesn't know where else it could go. That's fantastic, and that's exactly how it should end. In the third film, we saw many of the same cast members. The third film begins with Quinn Brenner, who encounters retired demonologist Elise Rainier several years before the Lambert haunting. Elise reluctantly agrees to try to communicate with Quinn's mother, Lily, who passed several years ago. After detecting an evil influence, Elise advises Quinn not to contact her mother again. Quinn notices a mysterious figure waving her form across the street after auditioning for a performing arts school. She's hit by a car while distracted, breaking both of her legs in the process. Quinn is now stranded at home with her father Sean and brother Alex, and she begins to see visions of a dark spirit wearing an oxygen mask known as the Man That Can't Breathe, the same entity who caused her injury. Quinn's next-door neighbor, an elderly woman with dementia who had previously told her various cryptic things about the man who can't breathe, has died. Due to Elise's funeral, Alex recommends that Sean consult alleged demonologists Specs and Turner, who have a large online following. Quinn is briefly possessed by the man who can't breathe during their research, breaking through her leg braces and attempting to attack Sean, Specs, and Tucker. Sean recognizes Specs and Tucker as liars and plans to expel them until Elise comes. Elise resolves to enter the spiritual world with the help of Specs and Tucker, after deducing that the dark spirit's purpose is to lure potential victims to the further so it can suck their life essence. Before discovering Jack's ghost, Elise enters the further and has a brief battle with the malevolent spirit who haunts her, a mystery bride in black. To be reunited with Elise, Jack begins to persuade her to commit suicide. Elise recognizes Jack as the man who can't breathe in disguise and cuts his face, ordering Quinn to be released. Quinn is crawling on the floor as he comes. Elise pulls the thing away, snatches her, and runs back, but the entity attacks her just as she's about to return to the physical world. Elise manages to overcome the entity and return Quinn to the real world before the ghost catches up with her. Quinn must be defeated on her own, Elise realizes. Elise receives a message from Quinn's recently deceased neighbor, Lily, who had left Quinn a note to read before she left high school, but Quinn never discovered it. Lily's spirit arrives out of nowhere in the further, assisting her in defeating the man who can't breathe. Elise says her goodbyes to the family, including some encouraging words from Lily's spirit. She departs with Specs and Tucker, and the three form an alliance. Elise returns home relieved that she would be able to continue working, but her dog howls at what appears to be a ghost. Unexpectedly, a demon with a red visage appears behind her, yet again ending in a huge cliffhanger, meaning another film will be coming in the series, which did occur, with the fourth film debuting in 2018. And there you have it, everything you need to know about Insidious 2 along with Insidious 3. There are currently 5 films in the movie series, with many speculating there will be more to come. Make sure to let us know your thoughts on the video down below. Have you already seen Insidious 2 or any films in the series? Do you think there will be a 6th installment of the movie? What do you think could happen? Insidious has definitely taken the horror world by storm and has quickly become one of the most popular horror movies out there today. It is iconic. Everyone knows the film even if they haven't seen it. I think the most captivating yet creepy aspect of the entire film series is that many of the happenings are based loosely on true stories, which means this stuff really does happen to people, whether you believe it or not. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content. Thanks for watching.